Welcome back to Profiles of Excellence. Our next profile is a documentary filmmaker whose films tackle some of the most complicated issues facing today's society. From talking about gays in schools, to what makes a family, to nuclear dangers in America, Debra Chasnoff knows how to get people talking.
They say, oh, what are you, gay or something like that. And it's really, it makes you feel like weird in your stomach.
Okay, sounds great you brought that out.
Filmmaker and educator Debra Chasnoff has documented some amazing conversations with children and adults about issues that can be challenging to discuss. Her strongest motivation for tackling such topics is a personal one.
I think a lot of the choices that I have made as a filmmaker really do stem from the fact that I'm a lesbian who has children. And I wanted my kids to be able to grow up in a world where they were able to move freely and not be judged and not be treated any differently than anyone else and not be harmed by other people's biases. You know, by extension, that those same desires apply to every other kid, you know, on the planet.
Through the nonprofit organization GroundSpark, Debra has directed and produced more than 10 documentaries over the past 30 years.
What GroundSpark does is we identify a social, economic, or environmental justice issue that we want to inspire people to make change around. We craft what we hope is a really high-quality documentary film, and then we mount an educational campaign around the film to try to inspire people to take action on that issue.
Her first big success with this mission was a powerful short documentary called Deadly Deception.
It was a film that I made in collaboration with an organization called Corporate Accountability International, and they were running an international campaign to try to pressure General Electric to move out of the nuclear weapons industry. I thought that a documentary film would be a really powerful way to translate the boxes and boxes they had of documents and written records into a very emotional way to connect with thousands of people.
Next house, cancer in this house. A man and a woman lived here by the name of Voss, Jack Voss. He died with cancer.
The film went on to win an Oscar, and in her acceptance speech, Debra became the first woman ever to thank her lesbian partner.
A lot of people said, oh, that's so courageous that you came out. And I'm like, okay, look, if you won an Academy Award, wouldn't you thank your life partner? I mean, it didn't feel like, oh, a big courageous decision.
Her next project became the groundbreaking It's Elementary, released in 1996. It focused on talking to kids in school about gay issues.
So I thought maybe the way to do that was to go into real live classrooms in diverse schools and show teachers actually doing a lesson, and so we could see for ourselves, well, how do students respond? So that's what we did, and the results have been, I think, utterly profound and have changed, you know, education in this country.
The response to the film, both good and bad, was so big that Debra did a follow-up piece a decade later called It's Still Elementary.
People say that I act like a girl, and sometimes I do for some reason.
Because you're kind of artistic and dance a lot and do stuff?
Yeah,
so
like
then they
that.
called you act like a girl.
When I was being filmed, it started to sink in. This may be who I am, you know.
These two films are now an important part of GroundSpark's Respect for All project.
It's a way of packaging, I think, all the body of work that we've been creating that is addressing preventing prejudice with children. So It's Elementary kicked it off, and then we were inspired to create several films that put into practice what It's Elementary advocated, and also to do a wider project that looks at all different kinds of bias and prejudice and helps open up dialogue around it.
The only hard thing about having two moms is that sometimes kids use mean words for gays and lesbians, and that hurts my feelings.
Debra Chasnoff's body of work continues to open minds and get people talking in classrooms and living rooms around the country.
Every day, practically, I get an email from a teacher who says, I showed this film to my students, they were riveted, it's totally changed the climate. So that makes it all worth it.
Our kudos to Debra Chasnoff for making sure that we listen to those who often go unheard. When we come back, we'll introduce you to a South Bay woman who helps preserve Cambodian culture through music and dance, and a valuable organization that's been serving our blind and visually impaired for generations.